Hey everybody, it's Debbie LaChusa. Welcome to another Living Inspired interview. Today I have with me Sarah Hope, and she has a very interesting project that she started. And I'm not going to go into a lot of detail. I'm going to let her tell you about it. But before we say hi, or actually before we get started into talking about it, I just want to talk about what you had an inspiration. You saw something that prompted you to kind of go down this inspired path and start this project. And I like to start with that because one of the things I'm finding as I talk to more people is everybody's getting their inspired ideas from different places. I get them when I meditate or journal or run. I spoke to somebody the other day who gets them in her dreams. And you got yours from what might sound like an unexpected place. So why don't we start with that, Sarah? Welcome.
Yeah, hi, thank you. I'm happy to be here. My inspiration came in some times of just kind of searching and feeling like a lot of tedium in my life. It just so happened that I saw this billboard, and it was partially covered by a tree, and it looked to me as if the billboard said, "Live where you live." And I was like, what does that mean? Am I living where I'm living? And I pondered the question for the longest time. It turns out the billboard never even said that. I feel like the tree was there just to like set me on this path, because the billboard was a realtor billboard, I guess, and it said "Love where you live." But I loved my mistake in thinking, and I do sort of think that spirit does, spirit may come and talk to us, or inspiration may come to us in our dreams or through things that we see, and suddenly we have that aha moment. And my aha moment was kind of funny because I just misread the thing, and it sent me on a whole just a whole path, and I built something out of this misunderstanding, just wondering, what does it mean to live where you live? So yeah,
that's a great story, because I think sometimes there's a reason that you misread that, and it's a happy mistake, I guess you could call it, if you call it a mistake.
Yeah, it's one of the best mistakes in my whole life,
because on some level that's what you needed it to say, probably. So tell us about the project that this inspired, and what's been happening with that.
Yeah, okay. So while I was pondering the question, I just came across the idea of daring. I think somebody was playing truth or dare, and I thought, wow, that word dare is a really powerful word. I wonder how I can incorporate this into this inquiry about living where you live. And I thought, people do the craziest things when you dare them to do them, and like things that they may have really wanted to do, but I mean, there's, kids will eat a worm, or, like jump across a cliff or do something they never thought they could do just because they dared them. And I thought, what if I dared people to do things that were great for themselves? And so I started out with a group of women. I asked a whole bunch of women to join me in this, and I gathered up a group of friends, and we dared each other all summer long. And we came up with this fun list of dares, and it was the greatest summer. It was one of the best summers I've ever had in my life. And I hardly spent a dime, and I didn't have to go anywhere, and I was behaving with curiosity within my own life, and I was living where I was living. It was amazing. And I thought I wanted to bring this to everybody and provide this experience of living where you live, and creating curiosity and daring and courage and fun within your own life without having to travel the world.
So what were some of the kinds of things that you guys were daring each other to do that created such a magical summer?
One of the dares was to make a date with somebody who's a Facebook friend or a social media friend only, and you couldn't tell them why. So I did that, and I had the most amazing conversation, and it just turned out it didn't end there. I just by doing that one small thing, I entered this whole other circle in my community of people that I had, I had no idea they were even there. I didn't think about them, very much. And I just didn't know what they were up to. And it turned out these people that I didn't know yet were new friends that I were up to amazing things. So that was one dare. Another dare was to say yes to the very first invitation you get. So I ended up going to this like concert and dancing, and it was music I didn't normally listen to, and it was so much fun. Like I wouldn't have gone if I didn't have that challenge to just say yes to the very next invitation, and somebody dared me to, so I had to. So yeah, things like that. I did so much. I climbed to the top of this rickety tower, and I let my daughter do it too. And I just kind of conquered my fear of heights and my fear of heights by proxy. And that's in like one moment. So it was amazing.
It sounds a little bit like saying yes to life.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Which I think a lot of times we get so just sort of on autopilot in our lives and kind of get up, go to work, do what we do, and we've got the blinders on, that I think it sounds like a wonderful way to break out of that and do exactly what your objective was. Start living where you live instead of just instead of just existing where you live and dreaming about living, like going on vacation and going and doing things outside.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing about it is, I think we often think like, oh, in order to start living my life, I need to go and make a bunch of money or things like that. And I loved how myself and my group of cohorts, and now the people that I'm daring, are discovering that you really don't have to spend a dime to start living your life. It's amazing.
So you've actually created a blog about this, and you're writing a book. Like, this is turning into a big part of your life, it sounds like.
It is. Yeah. I found this to be so amazing and so life altering and so fun. Sometimes when we talk about doing the personal work, it doesn't sound like fun. And so we don't want to do it. We procrastinate, but it's been so much fun that I just want to I want to share that with other people, and I want other people to join me. When I send out monthly dares, I'm doing them too. So I feel like I'm shaking the foundation of things with other people and creating a ripple of courageousness and fun and play and curiosity. So yeah, I do the blog. It's called Soul Daring. So it's www.souldaring.com, and I send out a monthly dare and challenge people to do it. And if people want to do it, they sign up and they do. And then they write back to me about the experiences that they've had. And I've heard some amazing things. The dare, it's not a kind of boxed up sort of experience. It's like you do a dare and it's different for everybody. And it creates this whole kind of like, people open up this Pandora's box of things that they didn't even know were in their lives. So yeah, I do that. And my goal is 1 million subscribers. I'd like to have 1 million people daring with me. I'd like to dare with 1 million humans on Earth. And the book, I'm putting out a group of like a tarot cards, 52 dares to change your life. So you could pick a dare a day, and it would just be like just the thing that you needed for that day that you didn't know you needed.
I love it. I can just imagine how the world and how many people would be transformed by 1 million people doing this.
Can you imagine? It's exciting, isn't it? God, it's really exciting.
Get people out of their ruts. Absolutely.
Totally. Get people out of their ruts and have people start playing and being silly and being generous for no reason. And it sounds amazing.
Yeah. So this, just so everybody knows, because I think a lot of times, I don't know, I've been in online business for for like over 10 years. And I think a lot of people think, oh, they get this idea and they got to quickly turn it into a business and try to make a living. You're working full time. You're doing this as kind of a passion project. Who knows where it will go, right? But
Yeah.
I want people
right
to,
now.
I want people to understand that. Just, can you tell them a little bit about that? Because this is, you're doing both. You got a job and you're doing this amazing project.
Yeah. Actually, I think that although I eventually would like to do this full time, it's such a passion for me. The fact that I am working makes me a better purveyor of this work, because I do it so that I can feel alive in my life. I'm a teacher. I teach in the high school, and there's so much routine and so much work. I mean, just so much work. But there's also so much possibility for joy, and you need to, remember yourself and remember fun and remember play. So I bring in this work into my life so that I can play within my routine, not just see it like always be daydreaming outside, when is my day going to be over, or when I go on vacation, or when when the weekend comes and I can spend time with my family. I'm thinking in the now, because I'm sinking into, my whole project is based on, finding those moments of dare or courage or fun or excitement within the daily life. And it's transformed my whole career, my whole relationship to my work. So
I love that. I think that's amazing. And it's very inspiring, because I think a lot of people think that you have to do one or the other. It's like, I either have to have a job, or I'm going to go take this passion project and I have to make a living off of it. And I think having started my own businesses and had passion projects, some make money, some don't, to not have that pressure and to just let it turn into whatever it's going to turn into. And who knows, you may be making a living off of it someday, but you're not putting that like construct on it right now, which I think kills inspiration so quickly.
I totally agree. I think if I had to do that, or if there was the pressure to do that, I probably wouldn't have kept it up, just because it's such an organic project that I didn't even really know how to do that yet. I just knew that I wanted to create something fun for people, something fun and enlightening and inspiring for people. And I definitely do have ways and ideas to monetize the project, but it's really right now just building the heart, building the heart of the project and sharing that with people. And I like the idea that it's free for people to, that's how the whole thing started. If you couldn't really afford to go on vacation, how could you have an amazing time anyway?
Yeah, that's awesome. So, I mean, I don't know how long you've been doing this, but if you think back to before you saw that billboard, and then you think about what's unfolding in your life now and where you are now, could you have planned this?
No, no, I could not. I couldn't have planned this. It didn't follow the beaten path, and it was so unique and so inspiring and so organic that I just had to just go with it and trust.
Has that been difficult or easy for you?
To trust?
Yes.
It's one of my dares, is to trust in the day, to trust where the day takes you, and trust in the things that come up that day. And I will tell you, it's a lot easier than I thought. Especially when when somebody dares you to do that, it takes yourself out of it and your own decision-making process. Our decision-making process is good and valuable, but we can tend to like waffle and hesitate and talk ourselves out of things. And so for me, taking that decision-making process away and trusting has been brilliant. I mean, it's just created just riches of experiences.
That's actually a very interesting perspective, because I know for me, when I sort of let go of control and just trust what shows up and follow it, that trusting part is often the hardest part, because a lot of times it's scary or doesn't make sense or puts you out of your comfort zone, which I would imagine dares do all of the above.
Totally. That's what daring does. It dares you to live, to get outside of your comfort zone daily, weekly, monthly, and spend time out there. It's the growth place outside your comfort zone. That's where the soil of your life is fertile.
Yes, love it. So what's amazed you most about this journey so far?
The people, what people have reflected back to me about what it's done for them. It's enough to like put me in tears sometimes to hear what people are doing. I had someone who did the project, a friend who did the project and dared her whole yoga class to dare. And she journaled about the experience, and she wrote to me about freedom after freedom and bursting through these little, containers that she had put on her life. And she was talking about, one of the things I remember most is she was talking about like daring herself to allow herself to be loud. And she's talking about like howling out the window of her car in the middle of nowhere and how freeing that felt. And I loved that. I didn't make that up, but the dare that I had made like created that experience for her somehow. And she went with it and found herself to be larger than she originally thought.
That's awesome. How does it feel to be the catalyst for other people having experiences like that?
It feels amazing. I can hardly put words to it, and I can hardly believe that such a simple act would create these giant transformations for people. And I think it's really funny that like a dare will put someone in the hospital, and a dare could create like a massive awakening in someone's life, or create joy in someone else's life. And it's almost like it's too easy. It was hard to trust it at first. Like, can that really change people's lives just to dare them to do something? And it's so much fun. It totally can.
That's awesome. So if there's somebody that's watching or listening to this right now and they're kind of stuck in the rut, they're living on autopilot, and they want to open up to this freeing experience and being more inspired that you're talking about, what advice would you share with them?
I would love for you to come join me in the DARE project. Anybody who's feeling in a rut, I know what that's like for sure. And they could join the blog, and just giving me an email, I'll send you a monthly DARE. I used to do weekly DAREs, and then I realized as a working person, it takes people a little longer to weave that stuff into their lives. So they can join me at www.souldaring.com. And I never spam people, and I never, I don't send out a lot of emails. I'm not even selling anything. I just send people a monthly DARE, and it'd be great if people want to join me. There's always a gift in it. It's free spiritual gold.
I love it. I love it. Well, I want to thank you so much for coming on and talking to me and talking about this, because it's such an interesting idea. And I love that it came from misreading a billboard. How more inspired can you get? That obviously that message came to you from someplace else for sure.
I know. It's so much fun what we make of, just like the stimulus in our environment. And that's another reason why, daring's a great idea. And even if people don't join my blog, dare yourself to do something crazy today, because it doesn't end there, and I just can't believe that the way that whatever your belief system be, I think spirit shows up in our life to show us something at an interesting time, and then we take that stimulus, and it's possible that if we're willing to step out of routine and step out of our rut, that we might be able to create something really inspired.
Absolutely. I talked to one woman, and the way she described it was, when that door opens, even if you're scared, walk through it, because more times than not, what happens is 30 more doors open, and it can completely change your path, change your life, but you have to take the first step.
Yeah, totally. I dare you to.
I love it.
I dare everybody watching, take that first step, that opportunity that seems like, I don't know, maybe not, I'm scared. I dare you to take it. Even if it doesn't turn out exactly how you imagined, something will happen, and something happening is change, and that's fresh energy.
I actually think, before we finish up, I think that's a really good point that you just made. If it doesn't turn out the way that you expected, I think a lot of times our own expectations are what they're the killjoy for things, because we have such a limited perspective, and we think, oh, this is what I want to happen. This is what I think is going to happen. And a lot of times something much more amazing could happen if we just let that go and if we're wide open.
Yeah, totally. There's a tendency, maybe a conditioning, to think that when something doesn't turn out the way you wanted it to, that it's a failure. Even if I would have climbed halfway up that rickety tower that I was dared to climb up, and I came back down, I don't think that would have been a failure. That would have been me climbing halfway up, which is, I would encourage everybody to think that way, that, things can be amazing if you're willing to, open up to the unexpected and kind of, I don't know, let go of our conditioning around things like oughts and how things ought to be.
Yes, absolutely. Great advice. Well, thank you so much for being here and sharing your project. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your time today. And thanks to everybody who tuned in. Thanks for what you're doing, Debbie. It's really amazing. It's part of a movement that I hope is going to continue. Just women lifting up other women, and yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Like you, it's an inspired idea that's turned into this big project that is not making money, and that's not the goal right now. It's just to hopefully encourage more people to step into this because of the difference that I've seen it make in my life. And now that I'm talking to all these people, the difference that I'm seeing it's making in their lives. So we have a lot in common in that regard.
Yeah, I agree. It almost feels like a movement, maybe. Like a movement among all of us. And I love that direction, that trend. So thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Thanks, Sarah. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.